It always comes to this. More nice shit. Morning guys, back into another tattoo progress update today. Where I last left off, I showed off the full head rework by Terry on the bat, the thorns, and all the red on my head. So to begin with, we redid the bat fully. He was he wasn't that much lighter than I remembered him this time, but he was still lighter than I wanted him to be. So he's been fully redone here, and most of the mid-tone was gone over with Panthera, which was diluted almost like a Panthera black wash, and just Panthera black straight. And then there were some white highlights utilized. We used True Blood Red Fusion in the blood in the eyes. And then we relined the thorns and totally redid the thorns, and then the red gap filler in between everything and in behind everything got redone as well. And that was all, we used 3 separate yellows, mixing yellow, golden yellow, and one other one I keep forgetting. I'll put it in the caption to get that different yellow feel to it, so it's not just so flat. And then the background, again, was Nebula Red, all by Fusion, by the way. So same red that we have in the forehead. And if you'll recall in the video that I made right after I had it done, I mentioned that if everything worked out the way I wanted it to, then the red would be very similar to the forehead. And that is the case. So it will pare down probably a bit more yet, where the forehead has been done, I think, 4 times. But again, the forehead was a special case because we were going over very fresh black. So it took a little bit more work to get the saturation point that I wanted with it to be sort of up to snuff with my face frame and stuff like this. So it could be the case that this will need a little bit more. You can see there's still a little bit of weird shit from the old head tattoo in there, but most of it is gone. So what I plan on doing in the red is probably just touch up a little bit of the red, because it's actually better on the sides and the back than it is at the very, very front. This was the part that was the worst of it. You could see that in old pictures of it as well. So that might need a little bit of a retouch, but I'm talking like maybe 5 minutes of work. While we're there, I mean, it's not much trouble to buff up the rest of it. But these are going to be minor touches, and realistically for what we're doing, that's a pretty crazy thing to be considering. The part that took the worst was easily the yellow. And that's not because yellow sucks. That's because this was all white in here. And I say this to you guys all the time, and I sometimes feel like people don't believe me, or that they think I'm nuts, or they can't see the reality of what I'm saying. But this is a perfect example of white is the hardest thing to cover, and I've said this many, many times. It doesn't go the way people would imagine it would. So I know I'm a broken record on this topic, because people like to think that, before you paint a wall, you prime it, right? So you got to put the white down, then you put your color down. Please don't do that. Please stop considering that as an option. You could say, you can use me as an example, and I have no regrets. I'm not pissed. People will be like, well, I bet you wish you did it right the first time. That whole stupid thing. Obviously, my body is a work in progress and an experimental kind of journey, and I'm okay with that. But if I was going for optimal results, just kind of get there as fast as possible with no strife, I would never recommend to anyone to pack white into something several times before putting color into it. Because what happens is whatever you put in there is going to dilute down. You can see more white through this than you can yellow. And you'll say, okay, well, that would be the case with black too. Yes, true. it is the case with black as well, but there's already black in there, and now we're putting more shit in the pot, and the ink is having to mix down with more shit. So it's having a even further reduced clarity, right? So I would say that whatever color you want it to be, if you're not looking to, I got a little bit of the forehead peel hanging out on my nose. Head's shed weird. Like this thing's still shedding. It's been shedding for a couple days, but it's just weird flakes. You'll notice weird flakes on your face and shit. Anyway, whatever color you're wanting, just use that color. If you're looking to get this done as fast as possible, do not go fucking around with thinking that you're priming a wall. We're not painting our skin, we're coloring what's under our skin. Very important difference. So this is where tattooing is a lot more like science or chemistry than it is like art. And I know I say this a lot, but I don't hate the way the thorns look, and I understand that this is a work in progress. And I don't mind that we have to do another second pass on them, because honest to God, this was only like 20 minutes, half hour anyway. But that will all need to be done again. So to get it more yellow anyway, because it's still going to pale out a little bit more too as it mixes with the white. Important to note about yellow is it actually has quite a bit of white in it as well. So the idea of the yellow and the white mixing now over the next few weeks, it's going to see, if anything, the yellow will become reduced. This is my speculation, of course. I could be wrong, but I tend to believe that white is going to pull more from the color than the color is going to impact the white over the next little bit here. Now, obviously, it's going to be like anything else. I don't expect that the mixing will continue happening for ages, like some people will have you believe. I think that's gradual fading like anything else in life, right? Everything gets worse with time for the most part. All tattoos break down at some rate, but the initial mixing, it only really happens for the first few weeks from what I can see in all of my tattoos. And wherever there is white, say for the Mozart portrait on my leg, the white seems to really kind of, because it's so thick as it settles in, it does have more and more dominance as time goes on. So I expect that the yellow will be even paler, and it's a little less pale over here. Everything again at the front of the head seems to heal a little bit worse. I think it's because that skin tends to bleed quite a bit, and wherever you're bleeding, you're losing some saturation. If you ever get a forehead tattoo, it tends to be like you just got a paper cut. You nick that thing and it just bleeds and bleeds and bleeds. Same as the chin, or at least mine does. And so whenever you're bleeding lots, you're going to leak out some saturation. So it just is what it is. I think a little bit more work in here will go a long way. These thorns were lined right over top of the red. And then some of these thorns were blue and some of it was white. At the front here, you can see a lot of variation in tone. And this is why I say, because people ask me all the time, why would you black it out if you're just going to cover it up? Well, because when you black it out, you level that base, right? So you get this more even palette to go over. And then all of your colors in black and white and etc., they go in at the same tone overall. Whereas here, we can see multiple different yellows and some gray shit in there too. So the new ink doesn't have that flat level to just interact with one tone. So you get this variance. And you can get through that, but it may never be 100% the same. That's just a matter of, let's see. Like, I think that these tips are, for example, incredibly yellow. And it's very hard to know what you're going to get when you're going over all different shades, all different tones, all different colors, line weights, etc. Whereas when you go over just a flat black, you're going to get darker colors than you would negative, especially the first pass. But that's just kind of going to be how it goes for everything you're covering. Whereas here, we have lighter, darker, and weird stuff happening in the middle of it. So, again, not a big deal, and I'm overall very happy with this for a first go. I wasn't sure if we'd need a full second pass of everything. I was optimistic that we might not, but I'm not that surprised that I will redo at least most of the red, and the thorns will definitely get a full second pass, and that'll be just fine. Because even these thorns as they are, they've been done twice, and you can see they're not much different, but these are again about a year and a half old now. I actually do plan on doing a third pass over these eventually, just because we did everything again on the arm, and it's the only thing that we haven't done. So, and then when that happens, we'll actually be doing the thorns on my neck as well. But we still need to do the roses on my neck too. So I've got all kinds of shit that I want to, well, we don't need to do, but I want to do, right? They're obviously holding in there just fine and staying the same. But where we redid these ones to be brighter on a third pass, I should do the same for the neck, just for posterity, we'll say. So anyway, head is looking a lot better. And by the way, this is 4 days of hair growth, 4 or 5 days of hair growth. So, and I still can't shave it until it's fully peeled and stuff. I'll probably shave this thing in 3 or 4 days, I would say. And then it'll be easier to tell what we're actually looking at here. For now, it's a bit furry. And when you have brown hair coming in through all of this, it does discolor it, and it does blurry it up a bit. So I won't be able to show you guys the true result of the head tattoo until after I can shave my head. So, but I'll be showing you that probably in the next update or the one preceding it. With that said, I should talk about the session at hand. There's more to say about the head this time. I didn't actually say everything I meant to say last time. I don't script these vlogs, by the way. I talk off cuff, and I'm not going to change that. I'm not getting ChatGPT to write fucking vlogs for me. And if I really cared that much about it, I probably wouldn't be doing it anyway. So we got into my elbow again. We did this whole region in here. And then the first thing Rick said is, holy shit, that really didn't hold up very well. So my elbows have been terrible to work on. And again, this one is better. It would be nice if we could get this one up to that level. Did some different tones in here this time. The pink underbelly, some different blues and purples and shit. Not purples, blues and yellows, and some greens and shit in there, in keeping with everything else. And if we could get it to look like that, then we'd have a good flow here. I have modest expectations, to say the very least, in that both of my elbows have been tattooed literally dozens of times. I would say we've probably done 6 or 7 passes in the last couple of years on this elbow, maybe more than that. And it just keeps going back to this kind of yellow, chalky callus thing. My elbow's seemingly worse than my palm for tattoo skin. And my knees are kind of dry too. It just is what it is. Men tend to have bad elbows. My stepdad was in here getting a tattoo on his arm. He's an older dude. Like, obviously, he's an older dude. He's pushing 70. And his elbows are terrible. Like, the one looks like the end of a fucking burnt out cigarette. And it's just like, Jesus, just imagine trying to pack ink into that thing. Women tend to have really soft elbows, however. This is where one size doesn't fit all for tattoos. It's hard to promise the same result to everyone. And obviously, I have many, many layers of ink in me already. But, like, some people just have bad skin for certain places. So, for example, my wife, her elbows are very, very smooth. She does nothing to do this. Like, she doesn't, she's not as hydrated as I am. And I'm not taking a swing at her, but I'm incredibly hydrated and I moisturize every day. And I just have dry elbows. Just is what it is. Whereas she does nothing for skin maintenance and drinks Pepsi and eats whatever the fuck she wants. Her diet is not dialed in as much as mine. Not even close. And she just has smoother, softer skin. Women tend to. Men tend to have worse skin to work on than women anyway. And if you gave Terry has just come out right and said it. He said, I would just tattoo young girls every day. Like, and that's not a sleazy thing. It's just your work goes in easier and shows better. So it's hard to guarantee the same result on a variety of different skin tones. And it's also hard to tell a client, like a prospective client, hey, I know you want this to look like this, but your skin isn't as good as this person's skin. Because people don't want to be referred to that. It almost makes them feel like meat or something. But you are a canvas for this. As much as I like to say it's more about science than art, and I truly believe it, your skin, and however good it is, whatever condition it is in, is the catalyst for the art. So if you've got terrible skin, you're not going to have an ideal tattoo. Even if you have a great artist, it's going to look a little bit beat up, probably, in some spots, and faded, and whatever. Whatever your skin is, that tattoo has to show through. So, for example, even though I have all this ink in me, my skin is actually still pretty healthy. And people make all kinds of jokes. Oh, he's a dermatologist's worst nightmare. I was like, no, dermatologist's worst nightmare is people who don't fucking take care of their skin. I take very good care of my skin, and it's in good condition. And that's why it's been good to me. I've been good to it, and it's been good to me. That's how that works. And this isn't an argument either, because if it wasn't in good shape, this shit wouldn't happen. Like, it just wouldn't. There are people who you can't even get one good layer into them. And I mean it. I work at a shop, and I see it. And it's like you're doing these striking black and gray compositions, and they're coming back looking like dog shit because the skin is terrible. And so that just is what it is. You got to take care of your body, and it will take care of you. And whatever you do will show through better if your skin is in better health. It just is what it is. And again, there are going to be some things that you can't help. Like I said, some of that is biology, DNA, whatever you want to make of it. Some people just have great skin. There's a woman that Rick tattoos here every couple months, and he would just tattoo her every day if he could. It's almost like his golden goose. He always talks about her like, oh, she's got good skin, and it's not a creepy thing. It sounds creepy as fuck, right? What other industry could you say that? Oh man, but like, this is your medium, right? So, and by the way, she's not a knockout, so it's not a sleazy thing. She's not a bad-looking girl either. It's not anything like that. But sometimes a male tattoo artist talking about the way a woman it's like, or the way a woman's skin is, it could come across creepy. But there are some clients that it's like, oh man, I can't get anything to work good in that guy. And that's the reality of this, and that's what my elbows are. My knees are kind of bad too. But, I mean, my fucking palm is doing better than my elbow. Like, how fucked up is that? But it is what it is. So, my elbows were never great. Even when they were just blackout, they had that kind of yellow shine to them. So, and before that, it didn't matter because, when you're not fully saturated, you don't see that shit as much. It just is what it is. Your skin will get drier, whatever. The more you do to it and the less you take care of it, the worse it will be for tattoos. So, bit of a rant on that note. This is going to take 3 to 4 weeks to heal. The next session, Rick and I have a little bit to tidy up in and around here. There's one spot we didn't get right here. And then we're going to be heading back into the face finally again. I've been looking forward to doing that since we started reworking the arm again. Then we got all this stuff to do down here later on. But should be a good session. I have another session coming up as well with Terry this week in a few days here, and there are 3 or 4 different things that I could do that day. I'm not sure which one I want to do yet. I could just leave it to the day to decide, but should be a good one either way. All right, I'll talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day.